Do you experience fewer than 3 bowel movements a week? Do you find stools are hard to pass, dry, or painful? Do you often strain to pass stool? Are most of your stools lumpy or hard, resembling a type 1 or 2 on the Bristol stool chart? Do you feel your stools are incomplete? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, you are experiencing constipation. If you are also living with endometriosis, this is a non-negotiable. You must, at the very least, try and resolve this. Welcome back to the Endo and Fertility Space channel. In today's video, I'm briefly breaking down why it's important to resolve constipation, especially if you're living with endo. And I'm providing my top tips to help manage constipation. If you haven't already, please give this video a like, share it with a friend, and hit that subscribe button. Okay, I really want to make this video actionable for you, so I'm just going to briefly touch on why this matters. Constipation creates a pro-inflammatory environment in the bowel that can irritate the gut lining, affect mood, sleep, and energy, prevent timely removal of estrogen, trigger systemic inflammation, and even affect how your immune cells function. Constipation allows bacteria to ferment and toxins to build up in the colon. This can trigger inflammation, not just in the bowel, but systemically, so body-wide. If the inflammation gets bad enough, it creates large gaps between the cells that line the gut. This is called leaky gut. Human and animal studies have shown that lipopolysaccharide, or LPS for short, which is a toxin that can move from the gut into the blood, worsens pelvic inflammation and promotes the progression of endometriosis. Because estrogen is excreted through stools, constipation can increase reabsorption of estrogen back into the body. Beta-glucuronidase, an enzyme produced by several bacteria in the gut, facilitates this cycling of estrogen back into the body. This process is called enterohepatic circulation. Constipation can also contribute to pelvic pressure and pain. Straining with passing stools, as well as persistent bloating or cramping from constipation, can worsen existing pelvic pain from endometriosis and/or adhesions. Constipation can also affect the nervous system. The GALT, G-A-L-T, which stands for gut-associated lymphoid tissue, is an important part of the immune system located in the gastrointestinal tract. It is composed of a collection of tissues and cells that monitor and respond to threats. If the GALT senses abnormal levels of inflammation, inflammatory microbes, dietary antigens, toxins, hormones, or stress, it communicates with the nervous system via immune cell signaling, neurotransmitters, and vagus nerve signaling. To simplify, if your gut is irritated and unhappy, your nervous system likely will also be irritated and unhappy. This in turn can manifest in difficulty sleeping, mood shifts, irritability, changes in digestion, racing thoughts, difficulty concentrating, weight loss resistance, more pain, and many similar unpleasant symptoms. Okay, now let's jump into some actionable tips. There are many reasons for why you may be experiencing constipation with endo. It could be endo itself, a low-fiber diet, dehydration, pelvic floor issues, autoimmunity, structural issues, lack of physical activity, stress, hypothyroidism, food triggers, and much more. I won't be tackling these root causes one by one in this video, but I will give you some tips to get started on resolving constipation. Okay, so first line therapies for constipation are hydration, movement, and fiber. That means you're gonna wanna start here before you try any of the other tips in this video. So the first tip is to hydrate well. Your stools need water to stay soft and pass easily. Aim for at least 2 liters a day, and if plain water is tough, try herbal teas or add lemon, cucumber, or berries for flavor. If you don't get enough water from external sources, your body will reabsorb it from the colon, drying out your stools and making them harder to pass. So aim for those 8 to 10 cups a day, more if you're losing hydration through sweat. And the second of these first line therapies is fiber, but there is a catch. Too much fiber without enough water can actually make constipation worse. Focus on a balance of soluble fiber, which you get from things like oats, chia seeds, and apples. This type of fiber helps soften stools, and insoluble fiber, which you find in things like leafy greens, nuts, and flax, which add bulk to the stool and speed things along. As somebody with endometriosis, you should be aiming for 30 grams of fiber per day minimum. As a dietitian, I do prefer fiber from food sources. However, I can completely understand that nausea, bloat, and pain can complicate healthy eating with endo. For this reason, I often use supplemental fibers in practice. One of the best tolerated fibers is partially hydrolyzed guar gum, sold under the brands Tomorrow's Nutrition, AOR, or Solu Fiber. Start with a 1/4 teaspoon and increase slowly by a 1/4 teaspoon every 7 days until you get to a full teaspoon with good tolerance. Acacia fiber, inulin fiber, or even ground chia and flax seeds can be additional sources of fiber to consider, although these ones are a little less tolerated than sun fiber by most people. Okay, the third of the first-line therapies is movement or exercise. Movement stimulates your bowels. Even a 10-minute walk after meals can help. Gentle yoga stretches like twists or child's pose can also help get things moving. It's that simple. If the first-line therapies aren't cutting it, here are a few more advanced strategies to consider. So tip number 4 is magnesium. This mineral helps relax the muscles in your digestive tract, making it easier to pass stool. In addition to the muscles of your digestive tract, it also helps to relax a spasming ileocecal valve, which can also be a root cause for constipation. Foods rich in magnesium include things like pumpkin seeds, almonds, leafy greens, and dark chocolate. Yes, you heard me correctly, chocolate can help. And for some people, a magnesium supplement can be a game changer as well. Magnesium citrate is the form that draws water into the bowels, whereas magnesium oxide acts as a laxative. So it's definitely worth trying, but caution with doing too much in one go. I recommend starting with 100 to 200 milligrams of either of these two forms of magnesium. If you want to increase your magnesium oxide dose, do so slowly with 1 day in between. For example, if you try 200 milligrams on a Monday, don't increase it to 400 milligrams until Wednesday. Magnesium can have a delayed effect, and I want you to avoid having unexpected surprises if you do try it. Okay, the next tip is potassium-rich beverages. So potassium is a natural motility agent that can help stimulate the bowels. It relaxes smooth muscle in the GI tract, and it actually helps hydrate you, unlike plain water. Think things like celery juice or coconut water, just straight as is, or you can use it as a base to a fiber-rich smoothie. Lentils, bananas, spinach, and avocados are also really good dietary sources of potassium. Okay, next tip is a little bit of fat in warm water first thing in the morning. Mixing a small amount of coconut oil, olive oil, cod liver oil, butter, or fish oil into a glass of warm water can help stimulate the bowels in the morning. The warm water helps relax the smooth muscle of the bowels and increases blood flow, which can activate the movement of the muscles for better elimination. The gastrocolic reflex is also stimulated by this combination. The gastrocolic reflex is a physiological response in which the stomach and small intestine communicate with the colon to stimulate bowel movements. Picture food entering your stomach, which stretches the stomach wall, which then releases a few signaling hormones, which then stimulates motility in the bowels. Fat stimulates the release of cholecystokinin, CCK for short, a hormone that stimulates the gallbladder to release bile, activates intestinal motility, and enhances the gastrocolic reflex. All right, our next tip is to create a bathroom routine. Your bowels love consistency. Try sitting on the toilet at the same time each day, ideally after a meal when your natural reflex to poop is strongest. And here's a pro hack. Use a footstool or squatty potty to get into a natural squatting position. It straightens the colon and makes elimination easier. All right, on to our next tip, digestive bitters. Digestive bitters stimulate the vagus nerve. This in turn helps encourage saliva, stomach acid, and digestive enzyme production, which all help prepare your body for passing stools. Digestive bitters also help stimulate bile flow from the liver and gallbladder, which promotes wave-like bowel contractions. Lastly, some bitter herbs provide a mild laxative effect. Herbs like dandelion, artichoke, and gentian can increase motility. All right, on to our next tip, short chain fatty acid supplementation. While I don't use supplemental short chain fatty acids much in practice, they are generally linked to better gut motility. Acetate and butyrate, which are beneficial byproducts of feeding your gut bacteria with fiber-rich foods, are known to improve fecal water content and intestinal transit. As of right now, we lack strong clinical evidence of whether supplemental short-chain fatty acids, like those found in the product Entrovite, can help, but if you've tried everything else, it could be worth trying. All right, our next tip is ginger. Whether in food or supplemental form, ginger can help improve constipation in a few ways. First, ginger as a bitter herb can help stimulate digestive secretions, including bile secretions and enzyme production. This helps make digestion more efficient. Ginger is also a potent anti-inflammatory, which can help constipation by improving gut integrity and normalizing transit time. Third, ginger reduces intestinal gas buildup. Less bloating and pressure can make colonic contractions easier, promoting bowel motility. And last, ginger is a prokinetic. It stimulates the vagus nerve, enhancing the gastrocolic reflex we spoke about earlier in this video. Okay, next tip is branded motility products. So much like ginger, branded motility products like SIBO MMC, Motil Pro, Gut Motility, or Motility Activator all help stimulate the vagus nerve and digestive secretions to promote bowel regularity. You could literally just type these names into Google and you can shop for these products on iHerb or Healthy Planet or Fullscript. All right, our next tip is Gaia. So Gaia contains a probiotic strain called Lactobacillus reuteri, and this is a constipation specific probiotic strain. Studies showed that 4 weeks of Lactobacillus reuteri supplementation increased bowel movements by 2.6 a week versus 1 per week without supplementing the Gaia. A longer 105-day trial showed that Lactobacillus reuteri improved symptoms like abdominal discomfort, bloating, and the sensation of incomplete defecation, which, as we discussed, can help reduce colonic pressure and inflammation, making colonic contractions better. Okay, and our final tip is Antrantil. So Antrantil is a herbal blend that can work to support bowels by stimulating digestive juice production and bile flow. However, Antrantil deserves a special mention as much like Gaia, it can help reduce methane gas production. Methane gas acts on the smooth muscles of the bowel, causing them to contract. This can be a root cause for constipation. If you reduce the methane gas production, it can result in easier to pass stools. So now you're equipped with my top constipation tips. Let me know which of these you've tried and which ones you will try in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more science-backed tips on gut health and endometriosis. And let me know in the comments below, what is your go-to constipation remedy? I'll see you in the next video.